In this presentation, I will focus especially on the psychological view of eating disorder. My thesis question is, what in today's society makes so many develop eating disorder? And I will more specifically focus on perception, body image, self-image, and the role of media. In order to understand the ever-rising problem called eating disorder, I will now explain a little bit about what it is. It is described as an illness that is characterized by irregular eating habits and severe distress or concern about body weight or size, according to eatingdisorderhub.com. The two most common types of eating disorder are anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa. Anorexia nervosa includes obsessive fear of gaining weight, and it often leads to a restriction of food. People with anorexia often see themselves as overweight even though they're not. And bulimia includes binge eating, which means eating a lot of food in a short amount of time, and followed by purging, which means trying to get rid of the food consumed. And that was a very short summary of what eating disorder is, but if you want more information, visit eatingdisorderhelp.com. What today makes so many people develop eating disorder? Over the last few years, eating disorder is a word more and more frequently heard of, and I wondered why it has become so relevant for our societies. The biggest change over these last few years is the amount of media that we are exposed to. More specifically, social media. The media is one of the greatest influence we have, and especially social media pushes body image, clothes, and unrealistic results in our faces. This can lead to confusing self-image where you don't know where to look for guidance. Should it look like this or like that, like him or like her? In a study done by England Durham's University, they unveiled a theory that could try help explain the obsession that women have with their bodies. So what they did was gather a group of 1,500 women, and they divided them in two. And one group were only showed pictures of larger models, and one group only showed pictures of thin models. Before and after, they asked everyone for the preference of body size, and they saw that the majority preferred thin models. After they had shown the pictures of the models, this increased among the group who had been shown pictures of thin models, and it decreased among the women who were shown pictures of larger models. And this tells us something about the power of exposure. Linda Boothroyd, the lead author of this study, commented that there is evidence that being constantly surrounded by celebrities and models who are super thin contributes to an unhealthy attitude towards our bodies. So on one hand, the media does a good job informing everyone about everything, which is what it's supposed to do, and connecting people all around the world. But on the other hand, it also creates an enormous amount of pressure because we get so much. It's overwhelming how much information we can actually have access to. And some media try to use this as in a positive way, like the link I've put here is Dove's beauty campaign, and they try to portray positive messages about beauty, but others try to exploit our tendencies to want to gain acceptance, and because we want to be perfect, we always want to do better. The concept of beauty and what is considered beautiful have changed a lot throughout the years. Being what is now considered fat used to be fashionable, and it used to be a sign that you could obtain enough food to keep your family well fed and to keep yourself well fed. As you can see here, this is an ad This is an ad from a 1930s Great Depression. You can actually see in the description, he says skinny, thousands gain 10 to 25 pounds this new easy way. So it used to be fashionable to be curvy. And another example is Marilyn Monroe. She's the 1950s icon and still is an icon. And she was voluptuous in contrast to the models that we have now. Now the idea of an ideal body shape evolves around thinness, and it reaches most part of the world. According to National Eating Disorder Association, up to 70 million people, both male and female, suffer from eating disorder. And as I said earlier, social media has a huge role when it comes to influence. And on one hand, it has changed the ideal from a curvy, voluptuous Marilyn Monroe to a thin body and fit, skinny type. And therefore, it just as easily change it to something else. Psychology plays a huge role when it comes to eating disorders, and especially perception is a key word. Perception is about what we choose to focus on and how we interpret what we focus on. The reason why many people focus on body weight and size is because it's there. It's always in your face. It's how to lose weight in 30 days, what to eat in order to, what I did to lose 100 pounds. It's always there. With help from all sorts of media, Instagram, magazines, Twitter, Facebook, they all contribute to a spread of an ideal that is unachievable and unhealthy for many, and this ideal causes problems for many. People's psychological perception of their bodies are not always accurate. As you can see in this picture right here, a larger woman looks in the mirror and sees herself as thin, and a thin woman looks at herself and sees a fat model. And it's all about what you think and feel about your body, aka how your perception is used. In psychology, we say we have a defense mechanism that protects us from diseases. These are mental operations unconsciously used to protect us from unwanted thoughts or feelings. One of these defense mechanisms is identification. And identification is about adopting, for example, attitudes or social norms from people whom you seek acceptance from. In order not to become sick or affected by a virus, we use different strategies. Humor, denial, avoidance, and acceptance are some of these strategies. For example, if someone says you have a really ugly jacket, you can just shrug it off with a funny comment. However, we're not always able or capable of using these strategies, and that weakens our defense. When our defense is weakened, it's easier to focus on negative things about your life and yourself. More often than not, our focus is drawn to beautiful people with beautiful lives, and therefore start comparing your own life with their seemingly perfect one. When you're not able to just shrug it off, this can cause a problem. So why do we rely so much on the media to tell us how to look like and how to be, instead of looking inside ourselves of who we want to be? It's because we're social beings and we seek acceptance from others in order to become a unity. Evolution has taught us that the prettiest and the strongest and the bravest survive, and that is what we unconsciously or consciously look for. But the ideal of pretty has changed, and the people presented in the media is becoming more and more difficult to achieve. Without getting too much in depth about a situation, I can simplify it. Say you see someone on Instagram with a really pretty jacket, and you see that that jacket has received a lot of likes and thumbs up, and therefore you buy that jacket and you receive a lot of comments and compliments. Thereby you associate taking inspiration from that person with something positive. But the problem is many suffer from the perfect virus, which basically means that you want to achieve being perfect. But perfect isn't defined, and therefore you will probably never achieve it because it's different in every single eye. So you can't achieve perfect, the global perfect. Also, many suffer from the I'm not good enough virus, which also contributes to creating eating disorders because you don't feel like you're good enough and you have to do things in order to become good enough. In order to defend yourself and obtain your self-image, you will then try to identify yourself with a person with, for example, the model wearing the jacket, because she gets approval from others, and you see it yourself. As you can see here, the ideals have changed, as I said, and it works the same. If everyone says something is supposed to be one way, then everyone believes it. So before we said that a curvy and voluptuous body is the beautiful one, and people believed it. Now it's just the same, only with thin bodies. When you're infected with the virus and you watch, for example, a picture of beautiful people in Malibu, for example, an advertise, the only thing you will see is how you don't look like that, and start comparing yourself, and how can I look like that? How can I gain so much acceptance that maybe I could be in that catalog? To summarize, the most important thing when it comes to eating disorder is to know that it is a problem and that it affects so many more people than what you think, and that you should, if you think someone has a problem, help that person. And eatingdisorderhelp.com is a very good site to click on if you think you or someone else have eating disorders, because it's so sad to see how first graders now try to starve themselves because they want to look like 20-year models, and it's not a good role model, and it's up to us to change that. And we have to use the media in a positive way, because what we do affects others. And if the majority turns around and says, okay, I don't have to look like that, then people will follow. And with help from medical studies and extensive media coverage of the dangers of eating disorder, there has been an increasing amount of people seeking help. And some social media try to promote health and a healthy self-image, and these have to continue because there will always be other social media trying to profit of our insecurities, but we can let them win.